The storm had been brewing for hours, the air thick with tension. Sarah sat alone, staring at her phone. The sudden ringing shattered the stillness. Without thinking, she grabbed the phone, hearing a voice on the other end, cold and urgent. "You have one chance. Make your choice." Her heart sank as she listened. The voice, familiar and cruel, delivered an ultimatum she couldn't escape. "If you don't choose now, your friend dies." A chill ran through her veins, and the weight of those words seemed to stop time. Her mind raced. How had she gotten here? Her best friend Alex had always been there for her, but now she was forced to choose. Betray Alex for her own survival, or risk losing her chance at freedom. Sarah's hand trembled as she held the phone. The decision was agonizing, and she knew that whatever she chose would haunt her forever. The phone call hangs in the air, the silence almost deafening. Sarah's hand shakes as she slowly lowers the phone from her ear, her mind racing. She stands motionless, the weight of the decision suffocating her. "What did I just hear?" she mutters, her voice barely a whisper. The words echo in her mind, replaying over and over. She takes a step toward the door, looking at Alex through the crack in the doorframe, unaware of the internal war raging inside her. Her gaze softens as she watches him, but the reality of what's at stake sinks in. "I have to survive," she says quietly to herself. But the thought of betraying her friend sends a pang of guilt through her chest. She knows what's coming. She knows she must choose, but choosing feels like a death sentence either way. The decision will break someone, and Sarah isn't sure if she can bear the consequences. Sarah's thoughts spiral out of control as she walks to the window, looking out into the pouring rain. She can't escape the reality of the situation. I can't make this decision," she murmurs. Her breath fogs up the glass as she presses her forehead against it, the cool surface offering no comfort. The storm outside mirrors the chaos inside her. She turns to look at Alex again. "What's the right thing to do?" she asks aloud, though no one is there to answer. Each choice seems worse than the last, and with each passing second, the urgency of the situation grows. Sarah feels trapped, caught between loyalty and self-preservation. Her heart aches at the thought of losing Alex, but the voice on the other end of the phone lingers in her mind, forcing her to make a decision she isn't ready for. Sarah walks toward the door where Alex stands, her legs heavy as if each step is dragging her deeper into her own despair. She looks at him through the small gap in the door, trying to focus, trying to see past the guilt and fear clouding her judgment. "I don't know what to do," she admits, her voice shaky. "I don't know if I can make this decision." Alex's face softens, his expression a mixture of concern and confusion. "You don't have to do this alone, Sarah," he says quietly. But Sarah knows she does. The weight of the choice is hers, and hers alone. She has to decide between survival and loyalty. A tear slips down her cheek as she takes a deep breath. She knows what she has to do, but it doesn't make it any easier. "I'm sorry," she whispers, her words barely audible. With a final, shaky breath, Sarah pulls herself together. She steps away from the door and moves toward the window, her back to Alex. She whispers under her breath, "I have no other choice." The pain of the decision presses on her chest like a weight she can't shake off. She picks up the phone again, her hand still trembling as she presses it to her ear. "It's done," she says softly, her voice thick with emotion. "I've made my choice." Her stomach churns with the consequences, but there's no turning back now. The door closes behind her, and Sarah knows that everything will be different after today. The days following the call are a blur. Sarah tries to push the weight of her decision aside, but it lingers in every quiet moment. She tries to smile when Alex is around, but the guilt eats away at her insides. "I did what I had to do," she tells herself over and over. But deep down, she knows that part of her is broken. She avoids looking at Alex for too long, afraid that the guilt will be written on her face. Her thoughts keep returning to the moment when the door closed behind her, the sound echoing in her mind, sealing the fate of their friendship. Could I have done something else? She wonders quietly, but the answer eludes her. Every night, she lies awake, tossing and turning, unable to escape the burden of her choice. Sarah takes a walk outside, trying to clear her head. The air is cool, but it does little to calm the storm inside her. She can't stop thinking about Alex, about the way he had looked at her when she made that choice. She sees his face every time she closes her eyes. She remembers his voice, soft and pleading, asking her to make the right decision. But was it the right decision? How do I know? She thinks, her breath fogging in the cold air. She stops at a park bench, her hands tucked into her coat pockets as she stares out at the empty space before her. She wishes she could go back in time, rewind the moments before the phone call. Maybe then, the choice would have been clearer. But now, she's stuck, trapped in the aftermath of her actions. The guilt, the shame. It's all consuming. Later that evening, Sarah meets with her mentor, James, hoping to find some comfort, or at least some perspective. James is older, wiser, and has always been a guiding figure in her life. She needs answers. She needs clarity. How do you live with the choices you make? She asks, her voice barely audible. James looks at her, his expression unreadable. You don't, he replies bluntly. You learn to live despite them. The words sting, but Sarah knows they're true. There's no easy way to move forward when the weight of your choices bears down on you. So what now? She asks, feeling hopeless. You keep going, James says, his voice softening. You move forward, and you try to make the next decision better. Conversation with James lingers in Sarah's mind. You keep going, he said. But how? How does she just keep going when she feels like she's lost herself in the process? She returns home that evening and finds Alex waiting for her on the couch, as if nothing has changed. His presence fills the room, and for a moment Sarah is overwhelmed with the desire to reach out, to apologize, to tell him the truth. But she can't. She can't let him know how much she's struggling with the consequences of her choice. I'm sorry, she whispers under her breath as she walks past him, trying to keep the tears from spilling. Alex looks at her, but says nothing. The silence between them feels like a chasm. Sarah spends the next few days in a haze, her thoughts consumed by guilt and self-doubt. She watches Alex, noticing the way he's withdrawn, the distance growing between them. It's like they're both trapped in the space of what once was, unable to bridge the gap the choice has created. One evening, Sarah can't take it anymore. She sits down beside Alex, her heart pounding. I didn't mean for things to turn out like this, she says, her voice shaking. I never wanted to hurt you. Alex doesn't look at her right away. When he does, his eyes are tired, sad. You did what you had to do, he says quietly. But we can't go back, Sarah. The words hit harder than anything she's heard. She wants to apologize, but she knows that nothing will ever make things right again. All she can do now is face the consequences of the choice she made. Days blur into each other, and Sarah feels the pressure mounting. Her relationship with Alex is changing. There's a tension between them, an unspoken awareness that the bond they once had is slipping away. She tries to reach out, but each conversation feels strained, each touch awkward. It's as if the space between them has grown, not just physically, but emotionally. One evening, Sarah receives a call from a mysterious number. It's a voice she doesn't recognize, but it sounds oddly familiar. You've made your choice, the voice says, the words chilling her to the bone. But what you don't realize is that your decision is far from over. You can still make things right, but you must act fast. The voice hangs up before Sarah can ask any questions. Panic rises in her chest. What did this mean? Who was this person? And why did it feel like the consequences of her choice were just beginning to unravel? The call leaves Sarah on edge, but she can't shake the feeling that it's connected to the decision she made. Her thoughts race as she tries to make sense of the cryptic message. Oh, could there be more at play here? Was there something she didn't know? The next day, Sarah confronts Alex, trying to hide the growing anxiety that gnaws at her. We need to talk, she says, her voice shaky. About everything. Alex looks at her with cautious eyes. What's going on, Sarah? He asks, his voice filled with concern. The moment feels fragile, and Sarah knows she can't hide the truth any longer. But before she can speak, the doorbell rings, interrupting their conversation. A messenger hands Sarah an envelope marked with a strange symbol. She opens it, and inside is a photograph of her and Alex, with a red X drawn across Alex's face. "The choice was never yours to make," the note reads. Sarah's heart stops. Who would do this? And why now? The cryptic photograph sets Sarah's mind on fire. She can't stop thinking about the meaning behind it, the sinister tone of the note, and the voice from the call. Everything she's been through, the choice she made, the guilt, the pressure, suddenly seems insignificant compared to this new threat. She feels trapped in a web of consequences beyond her control. As Sarah tries to make sense of it all, she turns to James, hoping for some guidance. "I don't know who's doing this, but I need answers," she confesses. James listens quietly, then tells her, "You've always been in control, Sarah. This is just a reminder that the consequences of our actions ripple far beyond what we see. But now, you have to make a choice, whether to face the consequences head-on or run from them." His words hang heavy in the air, but Sarah knows she can't run anymore. She's already in too deep. Sarah spends the next few days trying to piece together the clues. The photograph, the strange message, the phone call. Her paranoia begins to mount, and she starts to see connections everywhere. She can't trust anyone, not even Alex, despite the bond they share. She begins to question if Alex has known more about the situation all along, if he's been hiding something from her. Could he have been involved in this somehow? She wonders. The tension between them reaches a breaking point when Sarah confronts him once again, her voice sharp with suspicion. "What do you know, Alex? What aren't you telling me?" Alex's face pales and he steps back, his hands raised in defense. "Sarah, I swear I don't know what's going on," he says, his voice shaky. "But we need to stick together now more than ever." But Sarah can't shake the feeling that Alex is hiding something, that there's more to his story than he's letting on. The confrontation leaves Sarah feeling more isolated than ever. As the days drag on, she becomes increasingly distant from Alex, torn between her loyalty to him and the gnawing fear that he's hiding something. She spends more time alone, researching the strange symbol from the photograph and trying to find any connections. But every lead she follows only deepens the mystery. Late one night, Sarah receives another call, the same voice, the same chilling tone. "You've made your decision, but it's not over. The game has just begun." The words send a cold shiver down her spine. Sarah realizes that this isn't just about her anymore. There are people watching, people who want to see her unravel. And with every passing moment, she feels the walls closing in. She has to act fast. But what choice does she have now? Sarah's life begins to unravel further. The constant phone calls, the cryptic messages, and the feeling of being watched start to wear on her. Every time the phone rings, her heart skips a beat. But then, late one evening, as Sarah is scrolling through her emails, she receives an unexpected message. It's from an anonymous sender with a single line of text. "It was never about the choice, Sarah. It was about the person you became." Confused and terrified, Sarah opens the attachment, a video of her and Alex taken from a hidden camera. She watches, her heart sinking, as the video shows a conversation she never had. A conversation where Alex is telling someone to take care of Sarah if she gets too close. The shock hits her like a punch to the stomach. Could Alex have been working against her the whole time? She doesn't want to believe it, but the evidence is undeniable. Her mind races. What does this mean? Has Alex been manipulating her all along? Sarah feels like the ground has been ripped out from under her. She watches the video again, looking for any sign that she's misunderstood it. But no matter how many times she watches it, the message is clear. Alex has been hiding something from her. The betrayal stings, and her world shatters. When Alex comes home, Sarah confronts him immediately, her voice shaky with disbelief. "I saw the video, Alex," she says, her tone low and strained. "What is this? What have you done?" Alex's face pales as he realizes what she's talking about. He stammers, unable to find the words. "Sarah, I can explain." But Sarah interrupts him, her anger rising. Explain? You've been lying to me this whole time? The silence that follows is heavy. Alex stands motionless, his face torn between guilt and regret. It's not what you think, he finally says, his voice quiet. I had to keep you safe. You don't understand. Alex's words fail to bring any comfort. Sarah takes a step back, her heart racing, her mind reeling. You kept me in the dark, she says, her voice trembling. You lied to me. All this time you've been hiding things from me. The realization that Alex wasn't just a friend, he was an active part of the dark world she's been swept into, begins to sink in. Alex tries to explain, his voice rising in frustration. I was protecting you. You were in danger, Sarah, and I did what I had to do to keep you safe. But the more he explains, the more it becomes clear that his actions have only deepened a web of lies. The truth feels far more complex than Sarah could have ever imagined. There's something more sinister at play, and Alex's involvement is deeper than she's willing to admit. I can't trust you anymore, Sarah whispers, the pain in her words cutting through the tension like a blade. Alex's face falls, and Sarah walks away, leaving him standing in the living room, the space between them now permanently altered. Alone, Sarah processes the events of the day. Her mind spins as she pieces together everything she's learned about Alex's involvement in the web of deception surrounding her. There's a chilling thought that rises to the surface. Has she been nothing more than a pawn in a much larger game? She spends hours searching for answers, her search leading her to discover more about the people behind the threat. But the deeper she digs, the more dangerous it becomes. Someone is watching her every move, and she realizes that the game is far from over. The weight of everything is overwhelming, and she knows she has no choice but to confront Alex again. But now, she isn't sure who to trust. Is Alex the enemy? Or has he been forced into a role he never wanted? The next day, Sarah confronts Alex once more. I need the truth, Alex, she demands, her voice steady but filled with unspoken emotion. I need to know who you really are. Alex meets her gaze, his eyes filled with a mix of guilt and sorrow. He takes a deep breath before speaking. I never wanted to drag you into this, Sarah, he begins, his voice low and pained. I didn't know how to protect you without lying, but I'm not the one who's been pulling the strings. He pauses, his gaze shifting. There's someone else, someone more dangerous. I've been working with them, trying to stop them. But now they've set their sights on you. The weight of his words lands heavily on Sarah's chest. The revelation leaves her speechless, unable to fully process the extent of the web she's been caught in. The truth is darker and more complex than she could have ever imagined. The room feels suffocating as Sarah absorbs the weight of Alex's revelation. Her mind spins as she tries to process everything: the betrayal, the lies, the danger lurking in the shadows. She feels as if the walls are closing in on her. I don't know what to believe anymore, she says, her voice hoarse from the weight of the truth. Alex stands before her, his face filled with regret. You have to trust me, Sarah, he pleads. I never wanted this for you. I wanted to protect you, but now it's too late. The finality of his words hits her hard. The danger is real, and there's no more running. Her life is no longer her own. It's tangled up in a web of deceit and manipulation. Sarah's heart races as she feels the weight of the decision she must make. The clock is ticking, and she knows there's no time to waste. Will she take a leap of faith and trust Alex, or will she take the risk of going it alone? Do you trust me? Alex's words hang in the air, the gravity of his question almost too much to bear. Sarah looks at him, her heart racing. Her mind is torn. She can feel the fear and uncertainty gnawing at her. Every part of her wants to believe in Alex, to believe that he hasn't been lying to her all along. But then the photograph, the calls, the hidden messages flood her mind, and doubt takes root once again. She closes her eyes for a moment, trying to find clarity. The silence between them is thick, and when she opens her eyes again, her decision is clear. I can't trust you anymore, she says, her voice trembling but resolute. The words hang in the air like an unspoken sentence. Anymore. The pain in Alex's eyes is evident, but Sarah knows this is the only choice she can make. She can't risk losing herself further in a world of lies. As Sarah turns to leave, she feels her chest tighten with the weight of the decision. She's chosen the path of survival, but it feels like an emptiness has settled within her. She can hear Alex's voice behind her, but she doesn't turn back. "Please don't do this, Sarah," he begs. But Sarah doesn't stop. She steps into the hallway, the door closing behind her with a final click. It's the sound of an ending, the sound of everything she's ever known slipping away. She takes a deep breath, fighting back the tears. But the truth is undeniable. She has made her choice, and now she must live with it. The question is, will she be able to survive it? As Sarah walks out into the cold night, the world around her feels distant, as if she's no longer a part of it. She's alone now, with only the consequences of her decision to guide her. The night air feels sharp against Sarah's skin as she walks down the empty street. Every step she takes feels heavier than the last, the weight of the world pressing down on her. The choice she made is irreversible. As she walks further, her mind begins to race, replaying the conversation. The moment she walked away from Alex. Was I right? She wonders. Was this really the only option? The questions gnaw at her, but she can't find the answers. She stops at a crosswalk, staring at the traffic lights as they change from red to green. Life goes on, indifferent to the choices she's made. She feels detached, like an outsider looking in. For the first time, she's unsure of what her future holds. Sarah's steps are slow as she continues her walk through the city. She doesn't know where she's going. Her mind is too clouded with doubt and fear. But one thing is clear. She can't go back. The weight of the decision presses on her chest, but she keeps moving forward, one step at a time. Eventually, she finds herself standing in front of a small cafe, the warm glow of the interior inviting her in. She hesitates for a moment, then pushes open the door. The warmth of the cafe embraces her, offering a brief respite from the cold outside. As she sits at a small table, she feels a sense of quiet surrender. She doesn't know what the future holds, but for now, she's here. She's alive. And that has to be enough. The days following Sarah's decision are a haze of confusion and numbness. As the initial shock begins to fade, the weight of her actions presses down on her like a heavy stone. She spends her days in solitude, trying to find a semblance of normalcy, but the emptiness of her choice continues to echo through every aspect of her life. At times, the guilt is unbearable, and Sarah finds herself asking over and over, "Did I make the right choice?" The voices in her head tell her she did what she had to do, that survival is everything, but deep down she knows she'll never truly know. She takes each day as it comes, knowing there's no going back, but wishing with all her heart that she could change the past. One afternoon, Sarah receives a message from Alex, the first contact she's had with him since that fateful night. The text is simple: "I hope you're okay. I'm sorry." Sarah stares at the screen, her fingers hovering over the keyboard. She wants to reach out, to tell him everything she's been feeling, but the fear of reopening the wounds is too much. Instead, she types a simple response, her heart heavy with the unspoken words. "I don't know if I can forgive you yet, but I hope you find peace." She hits send, the finality of it sinking in as she sets the phone down. She doesn't expect a reply, and part of her doesn't want one. But there's a strange sense of closure that comes with acknowledging the hurt between them. It's not forgiveness, but it's a step forward. The weeks pass, and Sarah begins to find small moments of peace. She returns to her daily routine, trying to rebuild what she can of her life. She spends more time with friends, reconnecting with those she had pushed away. There's a tentative sense of healing, but it's slow, and she knows that the scars of her choices will never fully disappear. One evening, as Sarah walks through the park, she catches sight of a familiar face in the distance. Alex is standing near the bench where they used to sit, looking at the stars. For a moment, their eyes meet, and the world seems to stand still. Sarah doesn't know what to do, walk away, or approach him and try to make sense of everything. She takes a deep breath, and instead of walking past, she walks toward him, her heart pounding. "Alex," she calls out, her voice steady despite the flood of emotions that rises within her. Sarah stands in front of Alex, the space between them filled with years of history, pain, and silence. She takes a deep breath before speaking. "I don't know what comes next, Alex," she says quietly. "I don't know if we'll ever be the same, but I think I'm ready to try." Alex's face softens, and he takes a step toward her, his voice filled with emotion. "I never wanted to hurt you, Sarah. I was wrong, and I'm sorry. But if you're willing, I'll spend the rest of my life trying to make it right." The words hang in the air, and for a moment, Sarah feels a glimmer of hope. It's not a promise of complete redemption, but it's a start, a step toward healing no matter how long it takes. She nods, tears threatening to spill from her eyes. "We'll take it one day at a time," she says softly. The night stretches on, but in that moment, Sarah feels like she might just be able to breathe again. The next few days are filled with tentative steps forward. Sarah and Alex slowly rebuild their friendship, taking things one day at a time. The healing is slow, but it's there. Sarah no longer feels like she's walking alone, and for the first time in a long while, she allows herself to hope. She knows that the road ahead won't be easy, but she also knows that she's stronger now, and that she's learned the importance of forgiveness, both of others and herself. The scars of the past will always remain, but Sarah has come to accept that they're a part of who she is now. And with that acceptance comes a quiet peace. The future is uncertain, but for the first time in a long time, Sarah feels like she's ready to face it, whatever it may bring. Weeks have passed, and life, although not the same, is slowly returning to a new kind of normal. Sarah has found a balance, a quiet acceptance of the choices she's made and the consequences that followed. She knows that she'll never forget the pain, the guilt, or the doubt, but she's learned to live with them. One evening, Sarah finds herself sitting on a park bench, gazing up at the sky. It's a peaceful night, the stars shining brightly above, as if they are reminding her of the beauty still left in the world. "I never thought I could forgive myself," she whispers, the words barely audible to the breeze. "But here I am." The gentle rustling of the leaves around her feels like a soft, reassuring presence, the world quietly affirming her growth. She doesn't have all the answers yet, but for the first time, she feels at peace with the journey she's been on. As Sarah sits there, she hears footsteps approaching. It's Alex, his figure emerging from the shadows. He stands a few feet away, looking at her with a soft, almost uncertain smile. "I was hoping I'd find you here," he says quietly. Sarah turns to look at him, her heart warmed by the sight of him. Their paths had been tangled in so many ways, but here, in this moment, she feels a sense of peace. "I needed some time to think," Sarah replies, her voice steady. "But I think I'm starting to understand something." Alex raises an eyebrow, curious. "What's that?" "That sometimes the hardest part isn't making the choice," Sarah says. "It's living with it and learning to move forward." Alex nods slowly, a sense of mutual understanding passing between them. The weight of the past still lingers, but it no longer defines them. "We can move forward together," he says softly. Sarah smiles, the tension easing from her shoulders. One step at a time. The conversation flows easily between Sarah and Alex as they sit together on the bench, talking about everything and nothing. It's the kind of simple connection they had once shared, but with a deeper understanding now. They no longer feel the weight of the secrets and lies that had once kept them apart. For the first time in a long time, Sarah feels like she can breathe freely. The painful chapters of the past are still there, but they don't have the power to define her anymore. The trust that was once broken is slowly being rebuilt, piece by piece. It's not a perfect resolution, but it's enough for now. "We've come a long way," Alex says, his voice soft. Sarah nods, her eyes meeting his. "Yeah," she replies, her voice filled with a quiet sense of hope. "We have." As the night deepens, Sarah and Alex stand up, walking slowly through the park. The world around them feels vast, full of possibilities. For the first time in a long time, Sarah feels like she's found a sense of direction. "We don't have to figure everything out today," she says, her voice light but filled with meaning. "We can just take it one day at a time." Alex smiles, his eyes filled with affection. One day at a time, he echoes as they continue walking together. The world feels a little less heavy, and for the first time, Sarah believes that perhaps things will be okay. The road ahead may be uncertain, but the weight of her past is no longer holding her back. She's ready to face whatever comes next, with Alex by her side, one step at a time. As they walk together, Sarah's thoughts drift back to everything she's been through. The choices, the sacrifices, the pain. But now, in this moment, it's as though the weight has lifted. She no longer feels burdened by the past. "Thank you," Sarah says quietly, her voice filled with gratitude. "For being here, for helping me find my way back." Alex looks at her, his face filled with warmth. "You didn't need me to find your way, Sarah," he said. "You always had it in you. You just needed to believe it." Sarah smiles softly, her heart full. "Maybe, but it helped to have you by my side." The moment is simple, but for Sarah, it's everything. The past no longer defines her, it's just a part of her journey. As they continue walking, the future feels open, full of hope.